Hi crochet friends, I'm back, and I just thought with Valentine's Day around the corner it would be fun to do a little video for you on how to make 3D crochet hearts. So grab a hook, your favorite color yarn, and get ready to crochet. So today I'm going to teach you how to make 3D crochet hearts. What you'll need is a stitch marker, you're going to need yarn, your color choice, and a hook. And for today's lesson I am going to use a 3.5 see if it'll fit, a 3.5 millimeter hook, but you can use 2.75, you can use anything bigger. Just remember that we're making 3D hearts, so the bigger the hook, the bigger the holes in the yarn, your stuffing might show through. So to start off, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a magic ring. And so to do that, go ahead and take the yarn, and you're going to go ahead and loop it around your hands. You're going to go under and over and pull through that loop, and that's the first step. And then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and just yarn over one time and pull through. Now as I make these videos, these are not beginners videos, so I'm making these assuming you already know how to make a magic circle or a magic ring. If you've never learned that, you feel free to follow my page on Facebook, Crochet Classes with Jenee, and I have 2 videos with 2 options on how to make a magic ring. Once you have your magic ring, you're going to go ahead and do 6 single crochets inside the magic ring. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now feel free to pause this anytime until you can catch up to me where I'm at. So I have 6 crochets. Now the cool thing about magic ring is you can take the tail. Remember, we can pull it closed and it closes up your circle. And of course I'm going to close up this part right here with the next step. So in round 2, we're going to increase in every stitch. So we have 6 stitches. We're going to increase around, which gives us 12. This is where your stitch marker comes in. You're going to mark the first stitch of every round. So going into that first stitch, okay, you're going to do 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So there's 1 and 2. And I'm going to pause, and I'm going to take my marker, and I'm going to go ahead and slide it under that first stitch and just move it around, and that will mark your first stitch. So if you lose count or anything, you can go back to that very first stitch and start that round over versus starting the whole project over. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to work my way around, and I'm going to be putting 2 inside of every stitch, and I'll go ahead and finish and come back on when I'm done. Once you've finished round 2, you're going to go ahead and you can actually count each of these 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way around, and you should have 12. Remember that this is in the number 1. We're going to go ahead and do round 3, and for round 3 we're going to go up to 18 stitches. So you're going to do 1 in the first one and increase in the next. So you're going to be putting 1, 2, 1, 2 all the way around. That will increase it by 6 more stitches, giving you a total count of 18. So I'm going to go ahead and take my hook out. This is the first stitch of round 3, and I'm going to go ahead and put my marker back into that first stitch of round 3, just like so. Make sure your marker just goes under the top 2 loops of that stitch. So that's 1. In the next stitch, I'll go ahead and put 2. So here's 1, 2. The next stitch I'm going to put 1, and the next stitch I'll put 2. And you're going to do 1, 2, 1, 2 all the way around, and I will be with you at the end of the round. So now you have finished round 3, and if you're to start at the marker and count all the way around, you would have 18 stitches. At this point you can take the tail, I kind of tug on it pretty hard, and you can trim it about to right here. There's no need to weave it in, it's going to be stuffed inside the heart, but you can trim it so it's not hanging out. I'll go ahead and trim mine in a minute. So for rounds 4 and 5, you're going to just single crochet around 1 in each stitch, both rounds. So something I did forget to mention at the beginning is you're working in a continual round. So you don't need to connect your stitches after every round. You don't need to chain up for the next row or the next round. We're just doing 1 into every stitch, so there's no more increasing, and what this is going to do is it's going to cause your heart to cup downward. Should move over, sorry. So as I'm crocheting here, I'm just showing you I want you to pay attention here. And as you see when I'm crocheting, the heart tends to cup, right? It's creating this cup now because we're not increasing it. It's pulling the stitches. So what I want you to do is, this is the right side. This inside is the wrong side. And we want the heart to cup. So the outside is rounded and the inside is inside the cup, okay? That's one thing that when people crochet in circles, they often leave it this way, and that's not the way we should do it. So go ahead and fix that cup so that you're just crocheting, and to keep it like that, I have my fingers on the back and it kind of just forms it like that. So go ahead and finish round 4, and you're going to do the same thing for round 5, and I'll catch up with you at the end of round 5. Okay, so we're back at the end of round 5, and if you have never learned to count your rows when you're working in a circle, let me teach you. I'm going to use a little, sorry about the video, I'm getting used to this. That's why this is a little free video. Okay, so right here, if you see, you have the center of the rounds. This is round 1, okay? And how you count in rounds is, this is round 1. The next row of circles is round 2. You have round 3, round 4, and round 5, and you should be able to see it pretty clearly. There is a point I've taught in many of my classes that because we're working in a spiral, there's one little area you'll be able to tell where the stitch marker is, and it creates this kind of invisible seam or line, and that little area right here, the counts can always kind of be off, so always just count to the right a little bit and they'll be fine. So we have our first top of the heart, as you can tell, and what's going to happen is this, we're going to make a second one, and the second one is going to be next to it, and we're going to end up joining them together. So what I want you to do is go ahead, take your stitch marker out. We are done working on this for the moment. Go ahead and put your hook, do a slip stitch, and I usually chain 2. You can chain 1 if you want to go ahead, and we're going to cut, actually it doesn't have to be a very long tail. Just cut your tail, pull the yarn through. I like to slide that knot down really tight, and there's the first top of your heart. So we're going to do the same exact thing, and I will walk you through it again. Okay, we're back, and we're making the second top of the heart, and I will walk you through it again kind of quickly. We're going to do that magic ring. You're going to do 6 single crochets inside the magic ring. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Again, your magic rings should look like this. Make sure that you're always crocheting over both pieces of yarn. That's the trick. You want to crochet around both pieces. And then when you're done, I usually just kind of hold my hand here, pull on it, and see how it just closes it up nice and tight. So again, at the end of round 1, we're going to go ahead and start round 2, and we're going to be putting increases into every single stitch. And so because we're increasing every stitch, that gives us 6 stitches times 2, which is 12. So put that marker in the very first stitch, don't forget. You're going to do 2 all the way around, and then count, make sure you have 12, and we'll be back. Okay, after finishing round 2, you should have 12. We're going to begin round 3, and you're going to go ahead and you'll start with 1 in the first one, right there. Continue around with a pattern of 1, 2, 1, 2. So we've got 1. We're going to put 2 in the next one. 1 again. 2 in the next one. 1 again. And so on. And continue to do that all the way around until you have 18. Okay, when round 3 is done, you're going to go ahead and have 18 counts. And you're going to go ahead and do rounds 4 and 5. Just do 1 around each time, which means you'll have 18 counts for round 4 and 18 counts for round 5. Do not cut your yarn this time. We're going to connect it to the first one when you're done. I'll meet you back here after round 5. Okay, so after you have finished round 5, again, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counts. So now you should have 2 pieces that look the same. We're going to end up connecting these, and they will become the top of a heart. And then we're going to crochet downwards to create the point at the bottom. On the first, you can keep this connected. Do not cut the yarn on the second one. We're going to attach it to the first one in a second. But I want you to go ahead and take that very first one, and you cut the tail inside and just leave it in there. But we've got to weave this piece of yarn in. So if you have a, I buy these. You can buy them at Hobby Lobby. I usually promote that store because they've been so good to me. But they have everything I need there. And you could find stuff easy there. So go ahead and thread the needle with your yarn. And you just, like I'm doing, it doesn't have to be perfect. Sorry, I'm see if my focus is a little bit better here. So I'm going to do is I'm going to take the needle and just take this tail and just kind of weave it inside. I just want that knot to kind of be tucked in. I don't want it poking out of my heart. And just go back up. You can do it 2 or 3 times. I always tell everybody 3 times just to kind of lock it in. But again, it's going to be on the inside of the heart. No one's going to see it. And then you can just cut it and let it hang. So you have that first part of your heart here. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the second part of making our hearts. Now, if you've ever made a doll and you've made legs and you've had to join them to make a body, this part will be pretty simple to you and easy to understand. If you've never done anything like this, you're going to learn a new skill, and it's going to teach you how to do something different than you normally would do. Let me untangle my yarn and I'll be right back. All right, so I've got the first round and the second round. I'm going to connect them together. So I'm going to take my marker out for now. And the way to do this is you're going to leave, this is the second bump that we made, and we're going to go ahead and connect it to the first one. I usually like to find where the knot is. I'm just going to go ahead and put my hook through one of the stitches on there. And I'm going to go ahead and connect it with a single crochet. So I'm just going to pull through the very first hole and stop. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to come through both. And so now what I've done is we have joined the heart. And remember, we had 18 on this one and 18 on here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and count that as my first stitch. Put your marker in, use these markers. It'll show you where you're at. We're going to crochet all the way around. So you should have 18 and 18 again. And when you're done, you should have 36. So I'm going to show you how to do this first one. You're going to crochet. So this would be number 2 because I just did 1, 2, here's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and if you notice, I'm just crocheting around the outside of the heart. 8 and 9, here's 10, just going around the heart. There should be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and I'm only talking because I want you to see how to do this part. So it might be a little hard to go in where the knot was. Just put your hook in wherever it fits easiest. So 18. Okay, so I went around the first one and I have 18. Now I'm going to connect it to the other one, and I got to do 18 around here. So I'm going to go ahead and go into that very first stitch that's not done. That's going to be number 1, 2, and again we're going to get up to 18. Okay, I'll meet you back at the end of this round. So after you finish round 6 and you've joined them both together, if you count around at the beginning on number 1 and count around all the stitches, you should have a total of 18 here and 18 here, which gives you a total of 36 stitches. For round 7, we're going to go ahead and just crochet all the way around the outside of both, and you'll end up with 36 stitches again. Okay, after we're done with round 7, your heart is going to start to take shape. So you've got more rows added, it's pulled together a little tighter, it's coming together nicely. Now we're going to keep crocheting rows 8 to 16. And as we crochet, it's going to start decreasing and creating the point. We don't need to stuff it until it's almost at the very end. So for round 8, we're going to change it up a little bit. Right now you have a count of 36. For round 8, it's going to be crochet 4 and then decrease. Crochet 4 and then decrease. So let's do this together in case you forgot how to decrease. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to do 4 single crochets, 1 in the next 4 stitches. Put that marker in the first one. If you forget your marker, you're going to lose your counts, and I'm not there to check your work. So there's 1, there's 2, 3, 4. Now if you forgot how to do a decrease, it's very easy. You're going to go ahead, here's a decrease. Put your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, come through the stitch, put your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, come through the stitch. You have 3 on your hook, yarn over, and go through all 3. And that's a decrease. And there's another way to decrease, an invisible decrease, which leaves less of a hole, but I'm not going to show that on this video. Again, go ahead and repeat the pattern all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and again a decrease. So hook in, yarn over, come through, hook in, yarn over, and come through, and go through all 3. And go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around. 4 single crochets, 1 decrease, 4 single crochets, and 1 decrease. And we'll see you back at the end of the video. Okay, at the end of round 8, you should have 30 stitches if you want to go ahead and count your work. Again, you can tell that the heart, I know I'm holding mine upside down, but you can tell that the heart's starting to drop down lower. Your last decrease should have taken up those last 2 stitches that were left open. So round 9 is going to be just 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. And when you're done, you should have 30 again. So make sure that you take that marker out, put your hook in the first one, that's stitch number 1, put your marker back in, and keep going around. And when you're done, you should have 30. And this is round 9, which I will see you at the end of. Okay, so at the end of round 9, you have 30 stitches. Again, your heart is growing. Round 10, we're going to go ahead and decrease, so we end up with only 24 stitches. And the pattern for this round is going to be 3 single crochets and 1 decrease. And you repeat that pattern all the way around until you reach the end of the row. So we're going to do 3 single crochets, put your marker in that first one. You might want to get a different color than your yarn. I'm just losing all mine. There's 1, 2, 3, and then decrease. Remember, hook in, yarn over, come through, hook in, yarn over, come through. You have 3 on your hook, yarn over, and go through all 3. So if you see, I have 1, 2, 3, those were singles, and these 2 stitches made a decrease. Do you know what a decrease is? If you've never taken my class and you've never done a decrease, the purpose of it is to take 2 stitches and make them turn into 1 stitch. So on the next row, you lose counts, which is the purpose. We're decreasing so that this can get smaller, or you know, less stitches in that round. So that's the purpose of a decrease. And again, so repeat the rest of the round. 1, 2, 3, and then go ahead and decrease. Now, if you get lost in your work and you can't find where you're at, I've always taught my students, if you kind of just stretch your yarn a little bit, see how easy you can see those 3 single crochet stitches right here? 1, 2, 3. See how you can tell that this one looks like a decrease? Just pull your yarn a little bit and separate it. You could see it. So go ahead and finish this round, and I'll meet you at the end of it. Okay, starting for round 11. Round 11 is just 1 single crochet all the way around. And if you haven't noticed by now, every other round is just 1 all the way around. So it's a slow decrease. We don't decrease in every single row. If we did that, it would shrink and the heart would just look a little wonky. So we usually throw a row of single crochets in there in between. Not for everything, just for this pattern, but also for other things. It gives you a way to kind of elongate a project as you're decreasing, so it's not just too short and squatty. So I was going to pause this, and I will go ahead and meet you back at the end of the round. Okay, round 11 is done. We're going to start round 12. Remember, there's only 16 rounds. You guys are more than halfway done, so good job hanging in there. As you can tell, the heart is starting to work its way down to the smaller portion with the tip. For round 12, we have 24 right now in round 11. For round 12, we're going to get down to 18 counts. So the pattern for round 12 is you're going to do 2 single crochets and then a decrease. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. So I'm going to do 1, and what are we going to put? The marker. If you said marker, good job. Okay, so 1, and another one in the next one, and then your decrease. So the pattern is 1, 1, decrease all the way around. 1, 1. Remember that decrease, you lose counts, and so we're going down from 24 stitches to 18 stitches. I will see you at the end of the round. Okay, so when you're done, you'll have 18. You'll notice that the rounds are working up quicker now because you have less stitches to work inside of. Round 13 is just going to be 1 all the way around. So you will end up with 18 again. And I'm going to pause you and come back. Alrighty, on round 14, the pattern is going to be single crochet 1, then decrease, 1, decrease, all the way around. You will end up with 12 at the end of this round. At the, let's see, 1 decrease, 1 decrease. I was going to say that you might feel like stuffing it yet. My suggestion is you wait until your hole gets almost closed up and then stuff it, because if you stuff it too early, the stuffing will just pop out and make it kind of messy. Oh, I messed up. Here's a good thing. It's because I'm talking. So if you mess up and you're like, oh no, I messed up, go ahead and slowly just pull your yarn out, and then you can put your hook back in and start over. And I know I messed up because the pattern is 1 decrease, 1 decrease. And I forgot my decrease. So I'm going to pause it so I can finish this correctly and get back to you. Okay, you guys, you're almost there. Good job. After finishing round 14, you will have 12 left. We're going to go ahead and round 15, if you can guess, we're just going to do 1 all the way around. So we will end up with 12 again. I'll just keep recording this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alrighty, so we are down to our very last round, round 16, and we're just going to decrease all the way around. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and stuff our heart. Okay, so before we begin round 16, you have rounds 1 through 15 here, okay? And again, if you want to learn how to count your rounds, you can start off on either side. And you're going to go ahead and start off with this middle piece. And this would be 1. And I'll count our way down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, I know what happened. When you stuff this, we're going to actually just pull, leave it really big and loose, and then you'll stuff it. Remember I mentioned earlier that if you count on that kind of invisible seam, your counts will be a little bit wonky. That's all that happens. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Perfect. Yeah, there's a little margin of error where if you count in that area, your counts are going to be off. You just got to avoid that. And I could teach you better in a more detailed video, but for now, we'll just leave it be. Anyways, there are 15 here. The heart, you could leave your hearts flat if you wanted to, but I want to go ahead and stuff it. And I want to show you what I like to use to stuff my dolls with. So my aunt bought me these amazing surgical clamps off of Amazon. If you get yourself a pair of these, they are the best things ever. And you can't get them open unless you, oops, see if you're awake. Can't get them open unless you kind of work them, but they're great. They're great for grabbing stuffing and getting into places where it's hard to reach. So you can use these. You can also use like a wooden dowel, something that won't just slip right off of the stuffing. Okay, and so go ahead and stuff your heart, and I will meet you back here in a few minutes. You could stuff it pretty full, but remember, if you stuff it too much, you're going to end up seeing the stuffing through the holes. So just stuff it enough to make it firm, but don't overstuff it to where the white's poking out of all the little spaces. All right, my heart is just about stuffed. I'm going to put one last little bit in there. So if you can tell, you don't really want it poking out too much when you do that last round. You can always add it at the end, but my heart's pretty nice and full. I don't have anything overly stretched out that I can tell. This is actually a heart for an order. So I just thought I would make a video while I made it, and you guys can enjoy it too. So go ahead and put your hook back in. I always stretch this piece out. I've taught you in my classes if you're going to leave your project aside for a while. So if for some reason this yarn tugs, it doesn't undo everything. Anyways, go ahead and put your hook back in there. Pull down, and we're going to do 6 decreases, which means all the way around, sorry about the camera, all the way around you're going to decrease. So in the first 2 stitches, decrease. I will go ahead and use my marker for the for teaching. Okay, the next 2 stitches, decrease. So that's 2. And the next 2 stitches you want to decrease. That's 3. The next 2 stitches decrease. That's 4. Remember, we had 12. So if we're decreasing, we're going to end up with 6. That would be number 5. And it might get a little hard to do this very last 1 or 2 decreases. Just kind of pinch the yarn. There is 6. So our heart is just about done. What you want to do here is go ahead and take out your marker that was in the first decrease. And I like to actually slip stitch back into that first one. So a slip stitch is just put your hook and yarn over and pull through everything. And then go ahead, chain 2, and you're going to go ahead and cut a tail about 6-7 inches because, okay, we're going to pull it through. We're going to use that tail to sew up this little hole in the heart. You don't want a hole there. So go ahead and get that needle. It could be a plastic needle if I've ever given you one in class. My favorite to use are these metal needles because it helps weave the yarn into tighter areas where normally the plastic needles are harder to get into. So what you're going to do is you're going to just whip stitch all the way around the outside. So see what I'm doing here? I'm going from the outside to the middle, and I'm going to pull up. And I'm going to do this all the way around until I get to the knot. Get back to where I was. And the reason I'm doing this is it's going to pull that hole closed tight. So go ahead and yank on it. I use my thumb to slide it, and see that? It just tightened it right up. And then what you want to do is you want to kind of just tie a little knot. So put your needle through a little bit of piece of yarn and make like a purposeful knot. And I will do another knot just like this, like if you're tying a knot on purpose on your shoelace or something. And then just, that's it, it's done. And then one thing you always want to do is make your work clean. So I don't want that knot sticking out because it's not pretty. Go ahead and go back into that middle hole. You can poke your yarn out anywhere. And as you pull that knot inside, and it's gone. You don't have that bunched up knot sticking out. And that's it. We're going to trim the tail. And let me find my good scissors. Well, that's okay. I like my little scissors for this stuff. And then I usually just kind of make sure the tail goes back inside. And that's it. You've got yourself a cute little 3D heart. So, if you have any questions, you can message me. This pattern is a free pattern, and it can be found on Bunnies and Yarn blogspot. I will go ahead and put a link to it when I post this video for you. But try making these with different hook sizes, with different color yarns. One of my orders I have to do is really fun. I have all these different shades of purple that they want. And so I'm going to be making a bunch of different purple hearts that I'll post on this page when I'm done. Thank you guys for taking the time to crochet with me. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. So if you guys just watched my video and followed along on making the heart, you guys ended up with one of these cute things. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to watch the whole video. To those who finished their hearts, would you please post them on my page and let me know how yours turned out. These are really cute to put in a bowl and decorate with for Thanksgiving. You can even hang them on little strings and make like a little mobile, or tie them to a piece of wood and hang it on your wall. You can do a lot of cute things with these. So I can't wait to see what you all do. You can also take floss and crochet little words on here like hug me or XOXO. So you can do a lot of fun stuff with these. But just wanted to thank you for watching my first video, and I promise they'll get better the more I make. I hope you guys take care and reach out to me if you need help.